Nothing.
You come here for me, though.
How long have you been drinking?
I've been drinking shine ever since I've been drinking beer.
How long has that been?
Since ever beer come out.
A few years ago, Johnny Hebner went up to the big brewmaster school they got in Chicago. It was tough up there in Chicago for a farm boy from Shiner. All the people up there, they say, Shiner, what is it? Where is it? Well, I'll tell you, I hope the people in Chicago see this movie. In Bavaria, Germany, at the end of the last century, a man named KOSMOS SPOETZEL set off for Cairo, Egypt, where he was brewmaster of the Pyramid Brewery for 8 years. The heat in Egypt was good for the thirst, but bad for the health. So SPOETZEL decided to make beer in a colder climate. He went to Canada to run a brewery, but caught pneumonia and nearly died. So he moved down to San Francisco. But the big earthquake had destroyed the breweries, and there was no work. KOSMOS knew a brewmaster in San Antonio who wrote to him, SPOETZEL, come down here to Texas. We'll find something for you. And this is what they found, a little brewery down here in China. You see, the people of China had built themselves this little brewery in 1909, but no one knew how to run it, and they were going broke. Sure, they all liked to drink beer, but they didn't know how to make beer. KOSMOS came down here and he found there were quite a few German people, Czech people, black people. They were people just like him. They drank, they danced, they celebrate. And SPOETZEL, he took over the brewery, and the people of China will never forget that man.
He was from Germany, somewhere, a German man, and he came here and made beer in China.
He didn't have too much to cut, though. He was bald-headed.
But SPOETZEL didn't speak good English. It was broken. It was broken, but you'd know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I remember Mr. SPOETZEL when I was about 8, 9 years old or something like that. He used to come around in the country and drive around with about a 32-mile Chevrolet. Had a number 3 washtub filled with ice and bottle shine of beer. And he'd come out there and people be chopping cotton, plowing corn, or what have you in the farm. He'd go ahead, he'd wait for you out there. And then he'd give you a bottle of shine of beer. And usually the young kids chopping cotton, well, he'd give them a soda water. And all the grown people, well, he'd give them a bottle of shine.
He did. I can remember it. Because I'm 51 years old, and I remember when he would drive around and we just drove around with little old 36 or 34 Ford, whatever he had. The trunk was loaded with beer, and he stopped by, if you picking cotton, he'd give you a beer.
He always was jolly, never was grouchy, and just a good gentleman. That's all I can say about him.
But he was a fine fellow. Oh yeah, he'd give it to you. But he was a fine man. He's just a finer man as I worked for in my life. But I caught hell. I caught hell every now and then. I caught it. Yeah.
KOSMOS got the little brewery back on its feet, and he began to teach the China people the brewery business, how to make the kegs, how to brew the beer, how to work together. The workers became like one big family, and it was a very good time. Now many of those men are gone, but the others still work the way the old man showed them. Spetzel brewed his beer the way he had been taught in Bavaria. He used only barley malt and the hops. And that is all he used. No sugar, just barley and hops. They still brew the same way, except that a few years ago Johnny Hibner decided to put corn into the kettle with the barley to make the beer lighter. He say that the young people will not drink a dark beer. He say that they call a dark beer old-fashioned. Well, I say, the young people do not know much about good beer. From the brew house, the beer is pumped into the cellar. It's very cold down there. It's got to be to keep the beer fresh. You add your yeast in the cellar and then the beer takes 9 to 10 days to ferment. After that, you must let it age maybe 20 to 30 days until the taste is just right. I do understand that some of these new breweries in the big cities will rush their beer through in 5 or 10 days. Well, they couldn't do that in China. The people around here would know the beer wasn't right. An important part of making beer is taste testing. It's the only way to know if the beer is right. Spetzel had a policy on taste testing which the brewery follows to this day. Drink all the beer you want while you work, he would say. Just do not get drunk. Yes, you drink your beer, but you had better not get drunk. But some people back then didn't think a person should be allowed to drink at all. Armed with an axe and a Bible, Carrie Nation and other self-righteous teetotalers traveled through Texas and the rest of the United States, smashing up saloons and organizing for a total prohibition of beer and liquor. As you can imagine, the people of China were not in favor of prohibition. They were in favor of good beer. They couldn't understand.
This country loves beer. Don't like no prohibition without beer.
If I don't want to drink, why should I deprive another man of that drink?
But national prohibition became law in 1918, so Spetzel had to make a new drink.
They call that near beer then. It tastes just like beer, which it was beer, but didn't have no alcohol in it.
But people just didn't know it, didn't buy it. It wasn't no, we didn't get no kick out of it.
Well, I didn't drink none of that near beer stuff.
People wanted something with a little stimulant.
But you're not going to stop the people from drinking. They're going to get it one way or the other.
In those days when the near beer was, we had more bootleggers around here. They didn't need no near beer. They had some bootlegging days.
Yeah, we bootlegged some beer, and I don't know whether I would want that to go out either or not. I guess it wouldn't affect nothing now.
The near beer, I don't even remember the near beer because we didn't drink much of it. We had a good little brewery here. Mr. Spetzel and Miss Seeley was wonderful people. And I just went and got me a gallon jug and went to the number 75 and filled it up and had good beer.
You go at night. You go in daytime. We went up at night. And we go from one house to the other.
All that stuff, sometimes you'd be so powerful you'd take off a cap and hit the ceiling.
The federal government got suspicious, so they sent their officers down. Spätzle was too smart for them, but you know, you do something for so long, for so many years, you're going to slip up once or twice.
But he got in trouble down in Houston, had a load of it going through Houston with it. Some kind of way he made a wrong drive, and somebody tell me that he got smart with the policeman. Well, naturally the policeman wanted to know what, they taking him in, want to know what he had. So they carried him in, and he had a truckload of that good stuff.
Luckily, judges and juries around here liked good beer, or Spätzle would have been in bad trouble. Somehow he kept it going until beer was legalized in 1933. Then did we celebrate.
Polka time, that time, by Bonnie Cardinal Trout.
Now KOSMOS could afford to sponsor polka dances again, and to this day the polka remains one of the brewery's best ways of advertising. But they tell me not so many young people come to the dances anymore. I can't figure that out. I don't know of no happier or healthier way to spend an afternoon. With the end of Prohibition, KOSMOS started building with his little brewery. He bought 7 carloads of used brick. Everybody wondered what he was going to do. Well, he was going to put his brewery in brick. His health began to fail, but he saw the job through, and then he said to Adolf, "I got my brewery in brick. Now, Adolf, I am satisfied." And soon afterward, he passed away. It was a sad time in China when Spätzle died, especially sad for the little boy who was always at the old man's side.
My name is Calvin Wallace, Calvin KOSMOS Wallace. Mr. Spätzle, he wanted to give me part of his name, and so Miss Spätzle, she gave me the name Calvin, and he gave me the name KOSMOS. And they practically raised me, the Spätzle family. They treated me just like if I was one of theirs. The old man Spätzle, he would pick me up out in the pasture. I had a goat. I put in a wagon. He'd pick me up and take me with him in the car. Sometimes my mother, they wouldn't know where I was at, but when they see that goat come back to the house, they knew I was going with him on the trip somewhere, just riding around. The day driver, he came into the truck stand. He is a pearl driver. He told me, he said, "Well," I say, "boy," I say, "you still flying that check flag?" I say, "Yeah." I say, "It's flying all everywhere now." I say, "I keep it flying." He, "That's right, keep it moving," he said. Or check flag, that's what he called that sign, the emblem on the truck, they call it the check flag.
Spetzel brought his daughter over from Germany in 1922, and when he died, Miss Seeley became the first and only woman in the United States to run a brewery. She retired a few years back, but she still keeps an eye on things from her farm across the street.
Many people I know, they say that Mr. Spetzel down there, he works so hard, he never will make it with his little brewery. There it is. He made it.
Yes, Spetzel's little brewery is an institution now. People from all over Lavaca County and even from Houston and San Antonio stop here to drink free Shiner beer and socialize with one another. But things are changing in this country, and I worry about the little brewery. The little towns, little farms, and little businesses are dying. There used to be hundreds of little breweries, but they are all gone now. And I wonder how long the Shiner Brewery can survive against the big boys.
The worstest thing that can happen to small breweries, when the big breweries start on the selling, if they lose a little bit of money, it don't hurt them, but it hurt you. That's why so many little breweries went out of the business. The big breweries just push them out.
I think the small brewery is doing a great job. They're selling more and more beer, and I travel a lot. You go to any big city, they got it really well in every town, and they're drinking it too. So I don't see why wouldn't they survive.
Just a little man trying to fight the big man, and the big man usually wins.
Well, I'll tell you what I think about a brewer, you know. I know that man gotta work, you know what I mean, you know. If you wanna stay with a job all the time, you know, so keep it going. Well, peoples, I tell you, when I cork that beer, fill up cake beer, I'm happy and I'm singing. I'm going to sing our Bohemian song that goes all the way for whole Shiner. This man what postel de Shiner, slunce svietelo. This man what postel de pivovar, bečka byla prázdná. A když jsme popíjeli a dobře jsme se měli, a když jsme popíjeli a dobře jsme měli, a když jsme odpouštěli pivovar, bečka byla suchá. Jo, that's it.
Viva Belodowski, I love Dusty Dusty.